go. All right, here goes nothing. Shawn. Now, typically, we drink something local and something we like, but not today.
Wrong on both counts, right?
Wrong on both counts. We're drinking the worst gin on the market, in my opinion. When I was bartending, people would see the Beefeater bottle coming out of the well and would actually say, like, oh, do you have anything else? You know, well, I'll pay extra for the Hendrix. Or some people just give up and say, I'll have a bottle of Smirnoff Ice instead. So. But in honor, today's story is very international as well. We're going to talk about... Cheers, my friend. The Tower of London, where you'll see those guys, the Beefeaters. All right, Creepy Dave, are we rolling?
We're rolling.
All right, everyone. I am Tom Daly here with my good friend, the Doctor of History, Shawn McCarthy. And this is episode 9 of the Tell Me a Story podcast. Shawn, how you doing?
Oh, the very best.
Great. All right. So, Tower of London is a place that I've always been really interested in.
Okay.
It goes back to, if I remember correctly, I had this book. It was a Disney book. I'm a young kid. And Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck travel to England. And they're going on adventures and this. And they wind up at the Tower of London. And they encounter, it's haunted. There's like knights in armor marching around and stuff like that. But the scariest ghost of all is the ghost of a woman who's carrying her head underneath her arm.
Okay.
And it's Anne Boleyn.
Oh.
So there's a history lesson there.
Fair enough. Yes.
And I remember I love that book. I read it a bunch of times. And and my mom was glad I was interested in anything British, although the Tower of London is not her favorite place because it doesn't make the royal family look that great. She prefers Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
But so Tower of London was a place I always wanted to visit, and I finally got the chance in 2014, it would have been. And you yourself went, you said, in 2011.
Yes, that's correct.
So you were there before me. Why don't you take over and mention, like, what was your first experience, or what did you...
So, I guess my first experience at the tower, something like yourself, as a younger person, I think Christmas one year, my uncle got me a box set of tapes,
Okay.
The Great Mysteries and Myths of the 20th Century.
Oh, you loaned me some of those. I watched those with...
Yeah. Oh, they were a great series, and narrated by Robert Powell. I could listen to that man read the phone book. He's very good. Most famous, of course, for his portrayal of Jesus in Jesus of Nazareth. But yeah, and one of these was on ghosts, and the series really kind of focused on British things. So it was all British ghosts, and a fair bit of it was all about the Tower of London. So I was really interested in that, especially, I think, in the story of Margaret Pole, the Duchess of Salisbury.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Okay, so executed by King Henry VIII. So she was the daughter.
You don't say.
Yeah, exactly.
He did a lot of killing, didn't he?
He did. So she was the daughter of the Duke of Clarence. So King Edward IV and Richard III's brother, who apparently was also executed at the Tower, was allowed to choose the manner of his own death and chose to be drowned in a barrel of wine.
Okay, I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have like a hologram thing when you go there now. There's like a guy in a barrel, and you can look and you can see like him drowning in it, I do believe.
Yep.
So
in a vat of Spanish wine, he was allowed.
Spanish wine's good.
So he could drink as much of it as he could before he eventually drowned.
Exactly. Yeah. Spain's got some good wine.
His daughter wasn't quite so lucky. Apparently, the professional executioner was out on that day, was dealing with some things up in the north of England, so they hired some young lad to do it, and he didn't quite know his job, like a lot of young lads don't. And apparently...
We're just going to shit on the people younger than us right now.
There you go. That's it. It took 11 blows to finally see her off.
Yeah.
And so apparently the shadow of a huge axe falls over the spot where he managed to kill her.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was no scaffold erected. It was a low block, and she refused to put her head on it. And there's some stories where he had to chase her around.
He chased her around.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember reading this somewhere as I was walking around the tower. Because the old block and axe, they do have it there that you can look at, and you can tell there's been a lot of misses over the years because the block, there's a lot of chops that are way off, because a lot of the executioners were drunk in those times. They hated their job. They were killing people day after day after day for a living, and probably were drowning their sorrows as much as possible. And so I have behind me here, in honor of the historic royal palaces. You're not going to be able to see this, but Creepy Dave's going to put up a photo of what it is. It's the actual block and axe on a coin. So did you get any of these things when you were there?
I didn't. I got some books.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, I bought the tackiest shit you can imagine. I bought this and this. It's a raven, because, again, the ravens are there. We'll talk about the ravens, too, while we're at it. The ravens at the tower, they live there, and they have a great life. They get fed by the the yeoman guards, whoever those guys are. They're kind of like beefeaters, but they wear black and red. They look very sinister. And, they're well looked after. They're massive, these things. And their generations, they start eating probably human meat. The heads were on pikes back in those days, and the ravens were picking the eyes out. And it was glorious. And now they're fed, I do believe, a diet of, pretty good cuts of beef or something, I've heard. And they do clip the ends of the wings so they can't ever escape. It doesn't hurt them, but they can't fly any long distances. And the reason for that is because there's a legend that says if the ravens leave the tower, the royal family's going to fall.
Yeah. That's kind of cheating, isn't it?
Oh, probably. Yeah. But at this point, they've come pretty close to going under a lot of times. So you got to, anyway, and what's interesting about this little raven thing that I have had a little like plastic case with like a paper castle inside it, and it almost burned our apartment down back in Sweden.
Really?
Oh yeah. We didn't even know at the time, but when we were packing up our stuff, I picked this up and the plastic around it just went to pieces. And on the side that was facing the window, it was blackened like it had been burned with a match. But that was just after sitting for a year in the window with hot sun coming through it, and just, and that's metal, as you can see too. So I'm guessing the metal heated up and the sun. So that would have been something. It would have been. That had burned. But no, didn't happen. Still here. And some of my very tacky souvenirs that I got at the Tower of London. Shawn, tell us about your books.
Most of the books that I got were about, I got a book on the Crown Jewels. I think I got a book on the Tower itself. Back to Drunken Executions. Another one that I really found interesting when I first heard about it was James, the Duke of Monmouth. That would be the oldest of King Charles King Charles II.
Okay.
The oldest of his 13 illegitimate children.
Okay.
Attempted to take the throne from James II, and was defeated. And again, the executioner was very drunk. It took 7 blows to take his head off.
Wow.
Then they realized they didn't have a royal portrait of him, so they sewed his head back onto his body and they posed him up. So
we'll fix it in post.
That's exactly.
We've heard that before.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it.
The medieval way to do it. Exactly. Before Photoshop, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Pull out the needle and thread and sew it back on.
And I mean, that would be, like I say, with 7 blows, like it probably didn't.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look good at all. No, you can tell.
Anyway, so that was another one that I saw. I guess we were both there by the time that the glass pillow was put there to kind of mark the site where many of these executions took place.
Right. That was a more modern thing. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, for me, it's like the big ones I was most familiar with. Again, probably reading in books and stuff like that. It was always Anne Boleyn, for sure. And Henry VIII's other wives wound up there too, did they not? It was Catherine Howard. Catherine Howard did. Catherine Howard was the hottest one by far, but she was cheating on Henry VIII with the original sketchy old Tom. It was a guy named Tom, wasn't it?
Thomas Culpepper.
Thomas Culpepper. There you go. Yeah, and he would have got away with it, but he started bragging about that he was fucking the Queen and told everybody. So they both met their demise in the Tower.
Yeah.
But Henry VIII also would kill his best friend, Thomas More. Thomas More, rather, who would go on to be St. Thomas More. So, what a piece of shit Henry VIII was. You'll notice they never gave a ginger that much power ever again.
Well, I suppose that's true.
That's why
suppose
Prince
that's
Harry's
true.
where he is. They're keeping him as far away from the throne as possible. A ginger guy, that is. Yes, I know Elizabeth I came after. But yeah, there was never a ginger guy, a fat ginger guy whose dick doesn't work. You know it's not going to end well. So there's never been a king like Henry VIII, thank God, ever again. But yeah, that was the book, I think, that I was reading was devoted to him. Yeah. And also not just a piece of shit in that way, also not even good at business, not even good with the pocketbook, because his father left England in a very good position, and he just ran it into the ground, did he not?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was not. They were in pretty serious debt by the time that it was over, and then of course I don't think Edward VI or Mary I did much to help that, and so Elizabeth inherited a pretty strapped kingdom.
Complete hypocrite as well. Defender of the faith was given to him by the Pope for shitting on Martin Luther, who actually did care about the theology, but Henry VIII did not. So
I'm Pope now.
I'm Pope now. Just literally photocopied the Catholic Church and made himself the Pope. And it wasn't until years after that some minor changes were made. Yeah, so Henry VIII, and he's haunting the tower too, I believe.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've heard that he's stuck there now too. Yeah, people say that they've seen him, limping around because his legs gave out from being so fat in the end too. Did they not?
Well, he had a wound that never properly healed.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah,
that's it.
He is forever limping around the tower.
Which is probably why Catherine Howard didn't want anything to do with him.
Of course not. When you're
he's an old
smoking
man
hot, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
And that's it. I think more modern scholarship says that she may not have really wanted to become queen, but was just sort of kind of forced along into it by the Duke of Norfolk and others.
Okay.
That's it. Because she may have been like a teenager.
She was young.
Yeah.
She was young too. Yeah.
That's it.
And what's weird too, he had 3 wives. Of the 6 wives, 3 of them are named Catherine, aren't they?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never thought about that till now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
And 2 were named Anne. So what's it? Anne Boleyn and Anne of Cleves, isn't it? Yeah.
Jane's the odd one out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Catherine Parr, the last one, wasn't Catherine?
Yeah. And Jane was the one that gave him the son.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Catherine Parr does outlive him.
Yes.
So she survived that way. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And actually marries, I think, one of the Seymour brothers. So one of Jane's brothers. I think she ends up marrying.
Interesting.
Yeah. Who may or may not have had some sort of relationship with Elizabeth.
Okay.
Was apparently trying to force himself onto her or something. So I've read. So
interesting. The Tudors. Yes. Speaking of that Tudor time, what's his name? Tobacco guy. Didn't he wind up in the tower too?
Yes, Walter Raleigh ended up there twice.
Okay.
Yeah. First from Elizabeth, because I think he married one of our ladies in waiting without her permission. And then James put him in and killed him.
Okay.
But while he was there, apparently he had a lot of liberty, and apparently had a garden and was allowed to grow his own tobacco.
Nice.
At the tower.
Wow.
So,
the only his first love.
I think that's true, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So
now, if we could go back, Tom, just for a second, to back to the Plantagenets for a minute. Of course, some of the most famous residents in the tower, of course, Edward V and Richard, the Duke of York, the princes in the tower.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Any theories on who did them in?
You want to say Richard, because look a good villain.
Yeah.
And the gin tastes better now, I must say. That first bit.
Still tastes like Flight Up to Me, but anyway. As I take another drink.
That first drink is a kick in the teeth, but as a great comedian, Tim Dillon said, gin is for people who know where they want to go and want to get there fast. So, yeah, the Richard III story, the 2 nephews that are locked in the tower have been seen also.
Yeah, sure.
Haunting the place, walking around, holding hands.
Sure.
Maybe that's why they went in the tower in the first place. But yeah... what theories have you heard? Because I always heard that it was Richard that did it, but have you heard this?
Yeah, well, I've heard different stories about it was the Duke of Buckingham, it was Henry VII, it was Henry VII's mom, yeah.
Because Richard, now, his second act is here, folks. The Richard III, the hunchback, and the evil character that we're familiar with, that's a Shakespearean creation. a lot.
Yeah. Like he had scoliosis, so
okay.
one of his shoulders was higher than the other, but he probably didn't have like the hunchback and the withered arm or whatever. Like it probably wasn't quite to the extent.
Because he was pretty good on the battlefield, was the thing too. So he couldn't have been too used up. No.
That's it. No, for sure. Definitely, definitely a great military leader. Maybe, again, if in fact he did kill his nephew, is probably not the best thing to do, but I think, he believed that obviously a kid could not rule half as well as he could and could provide more stability. Because, of course, this is right after the War of the Roses, too, so England's been tearing itself apart.
Yeah. He's the White Rose of York.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So I've heard a few things. If you ever get the chance, I think it's Josephine Tey, T-E-Y, wrote The Daughter of Time, which is about a modern day police constable investigating the murders in the tower. It's a good book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
I liked it.
Do you know offhand how old the tower actually is?
So the tower was built by, the original White Tower was built by William the Conqueror.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's over 1,000 years old.
Definitely, yeah. So it's like, it's like Westminster Abbey.
Well, I guess it's not over 1,000 years old because that would have been 1066. Almost 1,000 years old.
It's almost, it's getting there.
Old,
yeah. Okay. No, I didn't know that. But I knew it had to be very far back to be Richard III. But
apparently brought over stones from Normandy and built.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's very, you can just imagine, it's very foreboding, even when we visited, so many years later, you see that. What is that stop? It's Tower Hill. That's what it's called, isn't it? You get off there and you see it from a distance, and it's like, whoa. And it's hard to explain because it's very touristy. We were there in January of Clara and my wife and I were there January of 2014, and this was back when the selfie stick was really popular. So all these idiots walking around with that. So that draws you out of it a little bit. But even, and there were some things like, oh, why do they have to put that sign like right there? Proof that even the British will screw things up as bad as we do for putting a sign on some historic place. But yeah, still, when you got, if you got some time by yourself and you're just walking, I remember the spiral staircase and stuff like that, and just in the dungeons too, the jail cells, and it's like, oh wow, imagine being there all those years ago and not knowing if you're going to get out or whatever. It's terrifying. And like my mom, who's such a big fan of all things royal, and she visited way back in 1974. It would have been. And she didn't like it. She actually ended up staying there, I think, less than an hour because she said she got bad vibes from it. And she's not some new age hippie person at all. My mom, she's not into spirits or anything like the Holy Spirit. She's into that one. She likes that one a lot. But no, she's not one that's into, anything like that, energy or none of that. So yeah, she just didn't get a good feeling from the place. And she loves birds. She didn't even like the ravens. She's like, those were the only ravens I didn't like. So she got in there, saw the crown jewels. That was the big thing she wanted to see, and got the heck out. Yeah. So yeah, and you saw the crown jewels too. When you
I
were
did.
there.
Yes. Yeah.
Can't take pictures.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's it. I think even when I was there, you were on kind of like a conveyor belt or whatever.
They do. They keep you moving. You're on that conveyor belt, so you can't, It's like,
Yeah. That's right.
Don't blink. Don't blink.
Exactly.
This memory is all you have.
That's it. Exactly.
Why did I drink this shit before I came here? Yeah. Fun times. The other one of the personal stories I have is the Beefeater, the yeoman of the guard, or whatever, the guy that was in the black and red. I mean, those guys are quite the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
They're some great guides, and they're funny and witty as hell. And I remember I have a picture, and Dave will put it up here so people can see. It's a picture of me in the center, and there's these two Beefeaters on each side. And one guy's quite a bit shorter than me, actually. So, remember our buddy out in Alberta? He's like, that's a Beefeater? And I was expecting a guy bigger than you. He's like, he's smaller than you. That's not Alberta beef he's eating. That's a dodgy mad cow beef that they have over there. And anyway, he was witty as hell. And in London, a massive city, what is it, like 8 million people? Maybe even more now, I think. What are the chances? Later that night, we just got out of there and went and ate somewhere, and we went to Jack the Ripper tour.
Okay.
And now it's the same guy, the Beefeater. You know, he's made the quick and dirty switch. He's got the black coat on and a black top hat, like we would do. You know,
Yeah, I was going to say, if
straight up.
anybody would respect that, it would be us.
That's it. And we were looking at him, we're like, it can't be. Is it the same guy? Because, you know, he's very, well, the voice is the same. Like, they all sound the same. And finally, he was, you know, he loved teasing Clara. Clara's from Sweden. I've said that a million times by now. And one of the prostitutes that Jack the Ripper killed was from Sweden. So when he heard that, he kept teasing her, you know. Oh, she was standing right where you are, darling. Oh, yes. And Jack the Ripper came and he cut her wide open. He cut her open from slit to tit and left her in a pool of blood right there on the ground where you are, and it could happen to you tonight. It was just like...
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't hold back. It was great.
No, clearly not.
And Clara took it like a good sport, and he gave a keychain, Jack the Ripper keychain from... that time. And when it was all over, we said, hey, can you answer a question? Are you the guy in this photo? Were you at the tower like just a few hours ago? And he's like, oh, that is me. And he'd served in the Royal Army for many years and actually been to Canada. And I said, oh, where have you been to? He's like, oh, I've just been to a place called Medicine Hat. Have you heard of it? And I said, I've never been there, but I've heard of it. He's go, oh, yes. Horrible place. And they walked into the shadows. We never saw him again. So if anybody's been to Medicine Hat, or if you're in Medicine Hat right now and watching this for some strange reason, jump in the comments and tell us what it's like.
That's it.
It scared the Beefeater.
Yeah.
So do you know, like, I know, is it just whatever day of the week they wear different outfits? Because sometimes it's more red, sometimes it's more black. Sometimes they must have different uniforms, do they?
I would imagine so. Yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a wild outfit. It's very Elizabethan, would it be, or with the collar?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's supposed to be kind of Tudor. You know, the caps and I think they even have like the monogram. You know,
okay.
Right on their chest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that there's a video out there. It's probably on YouTube where a child calls it a dress. He's like, "Boy, this is not a dress. If you want to see a man in a dress, go to Scotland," or something like that.
Righto. Yeah. That's it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, they were quick. Those old guys. They were witty as hell. And yeah, what a job that must be. And how many tourists must they see? You know, on a hot July day. Because we were there, perfect time. London in January, I highly recommend it if you're like me and don't give a shit about the sun. That's not a place to go to for sun anyway.
No.
Yeah, check it out. It was perfect weather. It was just overcast and, you know, damp. And it felt like, you know, every ghost was out and watching you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, another guy just came to mind who was killed there as well. Guy Fawkes.
That's true, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Was tortured there for some time. First with the gentler tortures, and then progressively to the worst.
And for people who don't know, Guy Fawkes, what's the quick version of the story there?
Well, was part of probably the most notable member of the Gunpowder Plot, the plot to blow up the House of Commons and the House of Lords in 1605, and was caught about to do that very thing, was taken to the Tower of London, was tortured, and he and 7 of his co-conspirators were executed. And he was the only one that was able to kind of cheat the hangman.
Yeah, he jumped, didn't he? Didn't he manage to...
I think he was so weak from his torture that when they hung him, like, his neck broke.
His neck broke, okay.
Yeah. There was another guy who tried to jump and tried to kill himself, but the rope broke.
Oh,
and then he was basically dragged more or less alive to the quartering block.
Wow.
And that would have,
Yeah. Wild stuff.
Yeah.
So for people who, today, Guy Fawkes is best known as the Mask from V for Vendetta.
That's true.
You will see at any number of protests.
That's true. Well, he's sort of the hero of a lot of subversive literature, right? I mean,
the joke. Anonymous.
That's it. What was it? The only guy to get into Parliament with the right idea.
Exactly, yeah. And that was James the First, correct?
James the First.
James the First.
Yeah.
Wasn't James the First in the tower too at some point for a short time? Have you heard that or?
Well, I think for a while, like the kings would kind of go there before the coronation.
Okay.
I don't know if
Was he in prison there?
No, because I mean it was a royal palace,
for
some time, and then it kind of became a prison. I don't know that it was that late though, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Was Elizabeth there too, or was she there?
Elizabeth was there as a guest of her sister.
Okay, so she was in prison. It sounds like
more or less,
Okay,
but you kind of have kind of various levels of imprisonment. I think if you were a person of status, you had a lot of
it's that white collar jail
sort of
today.
Well, there was one guy. Edward Mortimer, I think, who was basically having it off with Edward II's wife, Isabella of France. So basically was imprisoned by Edward II in the Tower of London, basically threw a big party for his guards, bought a bunch of liquor, got them all drunk, and then escaped. So, you could do that, I guess, if you were a person of such status. You were allowed to basically buy, you had the use of your money, you could buy stuff, and you could throw a party for your guards and get them all drunk.
All right, so very much a party jail.
Yeah, if you had money.
If you had money, yeah. That hasn't changed either.
Yeah, that's
very
right.
much the white-collar jail for those who had money.
Yeah, no money, you're out of luck.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
All right, so who was, I guess we might as well talk about him. He's the last one that was in prison there that I know of anyway, Rudolph Hess.
Yes, actually, apparently the Cray brothers, the twins, the gangsters were the last people that were there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very briefly.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because Rudolf Hess is, of course, for people who don't know, one of Hitler's buddies. He was
the deputy Führer.
Deputy Führer. He parachuted over England, and he
landed in the north, or maybe in Scotland. It might have been.
In Scotland maybe, and was looking to cut a deal. He got fed information somewhere. It felt like that Britain was going to cut a deal with the Nazis, and that wasn't the case.
No,
he was arrested, but lived for quite some time.
He did lived in 1987.
Wow, that's wild. So has any interviews? There must be interviews that they did with him or something like that.
I'm not sure. I don't think he was mentally well.
No?
I think he was. Yeah, so I don't know. I know that for most of when they apprehended him, they thought that he was kind of a little off.
Oh, okay.
And then I know that during the Nuremberg trials, he was also he wasn't reacting to anything that was going on.
Really?
And then
Okay.
And then, of course, like I say, I think he was held in East Germany afterwards. So I mean, I don't imagine the Soviets probably let him.
Yep, that's why some scrambling might have happened.
So, and then he was found dead in a tool shed or something. I think at the prison.
Okay.
So whether it was suicide or I don't know, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's I thought he was the last one, but no, it's.
I think so. I think it was Tom Hardy played both of them in a movie. I think.
Okay.
The Cray brothers. They were twins and gangsters in Britain. Yeah. But I think Rudolf Hess was probably the last prisoner for any length of time.
Yeah. Because that's what I'm just thinking now. I guess Rudolf Hess was there when my mom went there in 1974. If he was.
Oh no, he would. By that time, by the end of the war, he was shipped back to Germany. And he was in prison there.
All right, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's it. Yeah, I think he was only there for just the duration of the war.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when was the last I guess prisoners let out of the tower? Do you know that? What?
So not counting him,
counting him, yeah.
I would have been. I don't know when the last people that were in the tower probably would have been. Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometime maybe in the 19th century, I would think.
Yeah.
Would have been the last. But yeah. That's it.
But yeah, very interesting place, and it was a fun one to visit for myself. Again, the ghost lore is what drew me there. It was just a creepy spot, so I definitely recommend checking it out if you're into anything haunted. And from the Doctor of History, from his point of view,
I enjoyed my time there. A lot of it was just that sense of kind of being where all of these historical events that you read about happen. Right?
Exactly, that's it. Yeah. That's a good point. There's not too many other places you can go where so many big historic events happen within, so many square feet or whatever it be. It's a massive area, but still, it's very small on the grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a chance to go to the Chapel Royal at St. Peter Vincula. That's right there, where basically a lot of them are buried because
Right. Yeah. Wasn't there animals kept there too? Wasn't there?
It was the Royal Menagerie.
The Royal Menagerie.
Yeah. Wow. It was the mint, the armory, the menagerie.
It was everything.
That's it. And a prison.
Wild.
They had the little zoo of lions that were there because, it's interesting. I mean, at that time, you have all of these kind of royal families that are just kind of exchanging animals to one another,
I'll trade you this exotic zebra for that Siberian tiger.
Exactly. Yes. And the poor animals are, you think about a lion, being brought from, and then
Warm Africa
that's it,
too.
exactly. Yeah, too.
Too foggy and cold. London.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else you want to add, Sean, with the old Tower of London?
I don't think so. Like I say, I mean, it was a good trip, and like I say, it was a lot of great stories, and that's what we kind of specialize in here.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one we're talking about like our own personal stories. Usually we talk about people who, go to other parts of the globe and come back here, and hey, that's what we did.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
So yeah, Tower of London, a lot of fun and really interesting spot. All right, let's do another shot of this beefeater and
Shall we?
now it's really good. All right, so folks, you know what to
Opinions
do.
vary.
You know what to do by now.
Yes.
Like this video, subscribe, comment, please, and share, and click the bell. The bell is your friend. And who else is our friend? Creepy Dave, the man behind the camera. We could not do this without him. So go check out Coffee Doodles by David Jardine. Some really neat artwork. We have an example behind us, but there's tons of stuff to see on his YouTube page. All right.
Linked in the description below.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got it. All right, folks. Until next time.
We'll see you next week.
Cheerio.